I'm happy with the way everything turned out at this point after the fact, because it did build a lot of work ethic by not being, I was always worried that if I stayed, and initially the answer would be yes, because I'd be getting paid really good money. They would have took care of my neck surgery. They would have took care of my rehab, my medical bills. But I feel like if I did that, my work ethic would have suffered even more, that I would have became lazy, that I would not have been as hungry, because I would have said, well, for instance, when I was going in my mind, I was saying, okay, I'm on my way out of WCW, but they were offering to pay for the neck surgery. And then Thunder was right around the corner. Terry Taylor told me, Eric Bischoff said he was going to take care of your neck surgery and you're going to get a raise because Thunder, everybody's going to get a raise for 2 TV tapings. So my pay would have went from like 85 to like 120 or something, 130. It would have been a really good raise, plus medical bills paid for. Don't rush to get back into the ring. I would have took a year off after neck fusion. But I think what would have happened is if WWE came along after the fact, say WWE in 2001, I was still there, getting paid, trying to get myself over, maybe got a couple raises, been in the $200,000 to $300,000 mark. But then WWE bought WCW and turned around to me and said, we're going to give you an opportunity, $75,000 a year. I would have probably been spoiled, entitled, and dare I say it, lazy, and said, I'm not coming in for any less than this. And maybe I would have been possibly viewed like a Buff Bagwell. Now, Buff we already talked about that match was not that bad with Booker, but the office had it out for Buff. They already knew. He had a reputation, and he was already 2.5 strikes against him. The same thing could happen to me. Not that I mean to, but I could have said WCW was paying me $200 to $300. I was figured in. I was mid-card. I was getting pushed. Now you want to send me to wrestling school? Do you see what I mean? I would add heat, more than I already had during the Right to Censor era. So I kind of wish, but I'm really actually glad that it turned out the way it did, and I developed the work ethic that actually carries me into 2025. The work ethic I have here is the fact that I had to earn everything in wrestling. And even when I wanted to earn it, guess what? It didn't work out, but guess what I didn't do? I didn't cry and bitch about it. I just pushed forward and tried to take every objection away from the office as to why to use me or maybe even push me.
Okay, well, I need to harp on this then. So WCW offers you a raise. They offer to pay for the surgery to fix your neck. So why didn't you stay? Why did you quit?
Because I started talking to Paul Heyman.
Uh-huh.
And the writing was on the wall with me being in the flock or being out of the flock. We talked about the Clash of Champions, where I had presented to Raven, well, next time I turn on you, the fans will not believe in me. And he pretty much told me why I was there. And he kept hanging over my head. If you don't do this, if you don't play along, if you don't listen, if you don't, whatever it might be, I'm going to talk to Paige. He's going to talk to Bischoff, and you're going to get fired. So here I am saying to myself, once again, an immature, emotional kid going, I'm going to get fired anyway because Raven has it out for me. He's friends with Paige. Paige is friends with Bischoff. How do I stand a chance politically in WCW? Pair that with talking to Paul Heyman, who's saying, come back home. Come back home. All will be forgiven. So what's one to do? In that mindset, and now looking at it logically now, like, you know what? You should have grew up. You should have got the neck surgery. You should have learned. You should have stayed humble. But dare I say it, money, easy money to sit at home, probably would have ruined me. Would have made me feel entitled, spoiled, and would have felt like I deserve, which in the world, not just wrestling, is your first mistake.
what we'll talk about this when it comes time to discuss the short-term ECW return. But apart from, I guess, creative things that Paul was telling you, did he have a money, a number that he gave you to entice you back?
No, not at all. And
did he have a blank contract ready for you to sign?
No, not a blank one. It was probably waiting for me. No, but I feel like what I did was I need to start over again in my mind. So there was some basis of logic that I need to get out before I'm buried anymore. Now, everybody has to remember, 1997 is different than today. Getting buried, getting jobbed out, being made to look in a bad light could carry you for years, if not. Look at Shockmaster. He fell through a wall and people are still talking about it. But back then, it killed his career. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's semantics. It's literally fantasy booking to see, what if you stayed? What if you left later? What if this happened? What if that? Nobody's doubting, including myself. I'm the first person to say it was mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And the funny thing is, in the comments, people go either, dude, stop it, you're just too hard on yourself. And then when I put myself over for doing something that like I'm really proud of, dude, you're not that good. Be humble.
Ah, dear. I've got some follow-ups.
YouTube.
Your neck, did that factor into your thinking?
Well, it should have factored more now that it's put this way. You know what I mean? Now that I put it out there verbally, I'm like, if it had to do with my neck, I should have stayed. But it's weird, dude, because the place I was leaving to try to save my neck, and maybe there's a part of that too, back then, that I felt like WCW and Raven and everybody did a bait and switch on me. Because remember, I wasn't supposed to wrestle that quickly. So maybe I'm thinking, well, maybe I come back as a heel and I cut promos and I can get the surgery and I can get pushed by ECW and make money. I don't know. One thing's for sure. I was wrong. I should have stayed. In that vein, the medical part should have stayed. For future, how should I say, work ethic, attitude, and sustainability and longevity in the business, I think in the whole 10,000 foot view of it, I was right in what I did.
Who did you tell you were leaving?
Terry Taylor. And he was just like, okay. I mean, kind of neutral about it, which is very weird because Terry Taylor and Vince Russo, not in WCW, but WWF, but Terry Taylor's biggest advocate for hiring me in WWF and TNA. And that says something about Terry back then and our relationship and how it grew and matured, was he was willing to give me another chance. When I had left WCW, kind of with no notice again, very little, if any.
What was the admin involved in you quitting such a large company? I mean, tons of reams of paperwork and whatnot. Did you owe the company money back or something because you quit early and they paid you in advance? I don't know.
I think it was just one of those mutual release things that the contract ended and that was it. I got very lucky with that. I probably would have been better off if they said, we're keeping you and holding you to the contract, get your neck surgery, sit at home, stop being stupid. I needed to be coached hard, and I wasn't at that point.
Well, why didn't you stay and get the surgery is the final question. But actually, I think you've already answered this before, but were there any future creative plans for you beyond the flock or breaking up with the flock, or were you just going week to week at that point? No,
it was week to week. If I had any kind of inclination that get the neck surgery, or going to use you, or want you to be a commentator or do something, I probably would have been convinced to stay, or at least consider it. But that was the thing too. I should get out because this is ending. Raven has Perry now, and he has all the people that were picked for him or he picked. And he literally said, you're on your way out. Like Raven made it clear, you're at least on the way out of the flock. But also I didn't know that Raven was rubbing people in the office wrong, and I probably could have capitalized on that by being favored by them, by not being with Raven.